This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Now, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Hey, this is what happens when you're full of energy. People always say that I have a lot of energy and that energy affects their electronics. Do you believe that? I don't know. But anyway, see, there is the best part of the show. And I don't even think MBR StreamYard even realized how good that they just did that. Because if you were to be on a show and you had a little bit of malfunction, where's your ego? Where's your judgment, right? Where is it? That's what this show is all about today. It's all about us getting our triggers in order, getting them aligned so that they don't have to bother us anymore. And right there was the best start of the show. You see how I just flipped that? Oh my goodness. It was the best flip ever. So this morning, there has been some glitches and on others' shows. And I was sitting in the studio watching and couldn't really see like on my end. So I wasn't really sure what was happening. And I was just setting stuff up. I saw all this and it was like, woo, there it is, right? And so I was like, well, I've been logged in. I'll just play at 10. So I started playing at 10, but I didn't know behind the scenes what was going on. And this couldn't have been the best thing in the world for me, because today, some people would have got irate. They would have got angry that happened. Oh my gosh, electronics failed. Not me, because I already fixed and healed that trigger. So that trigger can no longer bother me. It could bother others or they could get upset, but it didn't bother me. And this is my life. You see how easy we can just flip it, gone. Why ruin my day? You're not going to beat Mother Earth. You're not going to beat electronic or electromagnetic frequency. You're not going to beat it. So why even get angry and upset, right? So whether they know it or not, that was the best introduction for triggers. I've heard so many triggers and so many people, and the best thing we could do really is journal them. And they're like, MJ, what's a trigger? So there's more, but this is my compilation. So I'm going to read it so I don't forget. First one, situations that we're in, right? It is the actions that is of what is going on that can trigger something that you are in, and all of a sudden there it goes, right? It's just absolutely out. And then your brain neurons are going to go straight back to that event, that trauma. All triggers are a form of event and trauma. We just don't know where they lie inside of this beautiful, that it's fine body, right? So we have to figure those out. So the situations that we're in, if this becomes a pattern and the same situation occurs, or when you're in a situation and you're reliving something, that's a pattern. Patterns are all removable by our conscious to the unconscious, which is where they all are coming from. They're suppressed, right? And then we have words. Certain words that are said with certain accents or certain dialects that we say, or an old like slang, or just an area colloquialism. So these words are also a trigger. So we have to write, okay, let's look at our words. So if you're not paying attention, start writing these down so you know how many outside forces become triggers, right? The first one was situations. This one was just words, dialects. Maybe they have a speech impediment. Maybe they're a stutterer. Maybe they don't have pronunciations. So all of these come into effect, all of them. And then we have events, right? Events are a big one, especially if we have family trauma. Events play a very big role in triggers, because before the event even starts to come, somebody's already not liking, one of the members of the family who are coming. So it's a trigger before it even happened. Can you imagine then getting there? And you already have our ego and our judgments already. Oh, I can't stand them. And what happens? Now we get there, and there's a huge blow up. I'm laughing because it used to be me, and now I look at that going, that was such ego and judgment of what, in the grand scheme of this beautiful freaking world, when we get aware, how is that? How is that? That's just crazy. So we have to put that one down. Driving, that's another trigger. Driving, right? Mad Max on the road. Those drivers are Mad Maxes. And Mad Max driving, yep, major triggers. Why? Because I don't know where y'all live. Here in Miami-Dade, yeah, we're living really high insurance costs, because it's like one of those inbounds of everybody in the world. It is such an international county and city. And if you've ever traveled outside the United States, there's real no boundary rules. There's like, okay, how old are you? You need a license. There you go. Central America, South America. It's kind of bad. They do say they have driving schools, but if you ever driven on their roads, they're all over the place. They could be a 3-lane highway and they're right in the middle of the lines. They're not even in a lane, causing more traffic. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yes, driving. I don't care if you're in the military or not, driving hits everybody's egos because everybody's not doing the right thing. Their high flashes are on and they get angry, or you didn't have your turn signal on. You know, my joke when I hear somebody get angry at a turn signal, I'm like, well, maybe they forgot to put the fluid in the blinker thing, right? Just given a reason to smile and laugh and not be so hard. That's what it is. We're living in these old belief patterns. But okay, let's keep going. Sights. What do we see? When we see something, there's triggers, right? I can imagine if somebody's walking down the street and they're a tanker and all of a sudden the tanks are coming down the road. Trigger. Yeah. Or they see a Humvee, you know, that the civilian wanted to buy and think it's, you know, fun and cool because they have a military Humvee that they turned around. But that military person on the road's like, that's not funny. Triggers. These are all triggers. All triggers. Sounds. Yeah. Fireworks are probably one of those. People who go hunting is another one of those. They have to really understand that fire. And it doesn't even have to be military. Sounds could be anything. Church bells, taps right there is that sound. I don't care. That taps hits me. It still hits me. And no matter how much work I do, I'm getting to now be able to breathe with it. But those taps get you. It's almost like we're done. You know, that's it. There's no more. And you can't take it back. And that's how I look at it. You just can't take anything back. And then we go to smells. Smells can be anything. Smells can be of flesh. It could be of a cantaloupe. How is a cantaloupe triggering? Well, obviously there was an event, maybe in a cantaloupe field. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Pepper. It could be any smell in the world. Any. And there's so many smells. Our sensories, you know, I can imagine a dog sensory because their snouts are just full of those little beautiful things. But smells are, people don't necessarily remember the smells as one of those triggers. And there's some who definitely know when they smell, you know, the black powder or the powder of the gun. They know those really, really well. It's a trigger. It really is. So remember that the next time you take it and blowing up some fireworks, right? Know who's around you. Make sure they're ready. We're going to get into that. But after break. I'm not going to take a break yet. But after break, we're going to get into dissecting these. Actions. People always say actions speak louder than words, right? I think actions should go with energy, right? How you perceive. Is your energy coming off very strong and very bold and very mean and very angry? Or when you see people tend to just want to hug you because your energy is so high. And now where's those triggers, right? If you have somebody who's beaming with beautiful light and energy and they're smiling and they're receiving that grace of beautiful energy and not allowing triggers to bother them, the people with triggers want to know why, right? It's a vault. And we got to open it. So, but if you're full of this resentments and you're full of angers and you're full of judgments and ego, well, of course, these are trips. These are triggers. They're not just on us. They're for people on the other side too, right? It has to go both ways because it's an action and a reaction. So they have to go both ways. And that's what we have to remember and realize, that these are our awareness, right? And to see, which one of these, right? Music, sounds. There's another one. Music is back to sounds. So we're going to discuss all of them. We're going to take a really quick break. And then we're going to dive into how some of these we can flip really quick. And we're going to talk about that. So stay tuned. We're here, MBR Talk 2, or you can go to mbrradio.us. Catch us. We'll be right back.
Been home about 6 months now, and I still have my doubts. Well, I'm not sure how I got here or how I'm gonna get out. Well, my mama says I look the same as I did before I left. But if she could see inside of me, it would scare her to death. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. Well, they taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Last Saturday they honored us in a small parade downtown. And when they shot off those fireworks, I nearly hit the ground. And while they smiled and cheered for us, all I could do was stare. 'Cause part of me is here at home, but part of me's back there. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. They taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Yeah, there's no end in sight. 'Cause even though I'm home now, I'm still fighting for my life. Well, I can still taste the powder from the barrel of my gun, and I can hear my sergeant screaming, "Run, soldier, run!" And I can feel the backpack on my shoulders, God, and weighed a ton. And I see death in every single thought. Well, they taught me how to put that uniform on. I just can't get it off. Well, the devil's won some battles, and he may win some more. But don't he know the American soldier will always win the war?
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hey, folks, we're back. Thank you, Mitch Rossell. I hope I pronounced that right. The Soldier's Memoir. I love it. It is, it's one of those songs that when you hear it, and if you were a soldier or you still are, makes a lot of sense, because I find myself even in my reverendship, where those triggers, and I find myself back in my fatigues, right, out in the desert. There's certain triggers that in songs. I love song. I love to sing. Singing allows the release of endorphins that build up those emotions. So when a song really resonates, either good or bad, right? Because they're healing. Songs, that's, I believe, the bottom line of music is frequency. If we can get everybody up to like a 417 hertz, we'd have a little less of this trauma and this like major energy that's going on around our globe. So that's one of them, music. And I give a music, it's not a music class. It's more or less, where does music hit you class? And we get our vibrations going and our frequencies going through our body. And that's another way to control, right? If we have triggers, I've said this on different forums about electromagnetic frequencies and electromagnetic therapies that can help those. And sometimes these triggers, after we heal them, they come back. Why? Because we didn't get far enough in. We might have just thought it was the now, like this life, but maybe we didn't heal the rest of it. Maybe there was multiple players, not just you. Yeah, self-love is you first. So, but if it's triggered with a triangle of people or two people or maybe a group of people, like a family, right? Events, there it is, family, right? All families have one nut, but we love them, right? Can't have fudge without nuts. And my family, I can't speak for anybody else's, but there is so many different, I told you in another episode, half my family was good for me to come into the service. The other half was not, you always find a half split, right? Because decisions and lives are yours. You come in alone and you leave alone. So making these decisions, whether you want to be triggered with family or you just want to love them, that's on you. And you can say, this is what he did, or this is what they did, or this is, I understand. But if we stop playing victim, the victim mentality, heal it, let it go. Because if you're still playing victim mentality and you are way past 27 years old, whether you're male or female, now it's time to really figure out how to heal this. Let's dig deep. And then you look in today and you say, how is that affecting me today? Did you suppress it? I don't know. These are your questions. Did you suppress it? Are you still angry? Because if you're still angry, yep, we suppressed it. So we're going to do, situations I think can be confined with then like going to the events of family, because situations arise as we journey out. No situation is going to arrive within ourselves unless we inflict bodily harm. If we inflict bodily harm, let's figure that out. Suicide victims, bodily harm, cutters, right? Bodily harm. So triggers can lead to such a disastrous emotion and such a disaster dysfunction that if we know we have these, why are we not allowing them to leave our body? Why are we not allowing them to leave our conscious? Why are we still holding on? This is the underlining. Why, MJ? Well, because it means that we're not willing to either A, forgive, B, love ourselves, or 3, have some trigger that is causing us to have guilt, fear, abandonment, the 7 fears of life that people come in with, right? Not all, we don't all come in with all of them, but it goes right back to that. Most of the religions or denominations talk about these fears. And when we can't leave go of these triggers, it comes back to a fear. And what do they fear? Death? Judgment? Guilt? These are old belief patterns. If there is a trigger within us and we try to heal this trigger, I can only say that I am sorry for my part. I am sorry for what I did. I am sorry that this has happened. I have now learned a very valuable life lesson, and I have learned the purpose of this lesson for me to reign in the highest frequency that I can. But if we don't forgive us, who's going to? Because if you look around, people really haven't learned these old patterns of judgment and these old patterns that are keeping them entwined into things that we don't want to be entwined with, right? So the best thing that we can do really is start journaling them. Yeah, start journaling them. As far as sights, when we start seeing things, be the squirrel mentality, right? Does people know what the squirrel mentality, or, you have the focus fox mentality. the squirrel or the focus fox, which is you don't like something, immediately you look and say, hey, how's the Stanley Cup going? Hey, did you go fishing lately? Hey, it's almost, we're almost out of turkey season. So, I mean, figure out something, Oh, did you go to the festival? Figure out something to immediately take you out of that trigger. I don't care what it is, but you have to immediately take yourself out of it. Take yourself out of it, because if you're not ready, and some see red, and I get it, some see red. So before it gets that far, squirrel it. Squirrel it. If you can't breathe and you can't tap and you can't control that emotion, squirrel it. Squirrel it. Seriously. Right? Easy. But it takes practice. It's conditioning, right? The other way is knowing we're going to go into these family events and we're going to hear the same thing and we're going to not like what we're going to hear, and these words are going to upset us, or the sight of somebody is going to upset us. So now what do? We come in rehearsed, train the mind, EFT tapping, train the mind. I understand that they don't think like me, but it's okay. I am not judging them. They do not judge me. I understand that they don't think like me. I don't judge them. They don't judge me. Right? Doesn't matter if you're left or right. It doesn't matter if you're up or down. It doesn't matter if you're oil and water. The moment that you're saying is, this is my family. Nuts, fudge, or what? I don't care. I'm here. I love you. Thank you for allowing me my ancestral lineage, because if there's something I don't like, then that means it's inside of me. Yeah, I said that. That means you need healing. You're not the victim. That means you need healing. Yeah. We're pretty much an I am reflection of Christ's light. Christ's light is in all of us. And all of us have to learn to be Christ's light, which means these triggers, we need to settle them. We need to honor them. How brave are we to go to battle with a gun or a sword? How brave are we? Then where's our bravery? Where's our bravery? We're brave on the keypad telling people, to go fly a kite. We're really good, texting people on the phone face to, but the minute you get face to face, what do? Woo, they clam up. Clam it up. Why? Fear. The same fear that we have with triggers. We have them. We have the fear. Oh, I don't want to get in this. You're damn straight you don't want to get into it. So let's figure it out. Because right now, right in this instant, we're not in those past triggers. We're not. They're gone. They're gone. We can meditate and we can go Jeanette and we can go get them. We can go right back there. Why? You've lived it. You're already there. You already gone through it. Shouldn't. See, I'm shouldn't all over myself. We stop shouldn't and we start saying, let's fix it. Let's fix it together. Let's figure out, we remove ourselves from the conversation. We squirrel it. We tap. We breathe. We smile. These are all ways to stop that trigger immediately and just look going, this is not the conversation I've asked for. This is not why I'm here today. So I'm just going to go outside and, I don't know, for me, I tell you, I'm just going to go out and smoke and have a drink. Whatever. I love my lemon water. I love it. I love my clove. I love cloves. You know why cloves? Anybody who's out there who's a smoker, or you have an addiction, start smoking clove. Because clove is one of those that will stop that addiction. So you can understand the trigger without having it masked. Smart. Smoke it. Eat it. Eat clove. Smoke it. I don't care what you do. Clove. Yes, the clove like you put in the ham. Yes, grind it up. Smoke it. Go to the store and buy it. Just make sure there's no tobacco or nicotine in them. You can buy them tobaccoless, unless you can do your own. Look got some more to talk about, but I think that I gave you enough for now. Let's process it. And we're here, mbradio.us and MBR Talk 2. We'll be right back right after this. This cave is a one-stop shop to heal whatever ails you.
whether you just need downtime, whether you need respiratory or lymphatic, blood pressures, just any type of program that is medically necessary to you, I am sure salt's going to play one of those factors. I mean, we use saline for our eyes, we use salt water for our ears, we gargle with salt water for when we have sore throats, and we're even putting salt water spray, nasal sprays by our doctors up our nose. Except most of these things that are by our big pharma or our doctors are actually not salts, like Epsom salt. It's not even a salt. This is true to form. We're not kidding anybody. The properties are what they are. You can look it up in science magazines, health magazines. Himalayan salt is the only salt you want. You can digest it, you can eat it, burn it, you can lay in it like tub baths. You can use the actual steams with all the minerals so that you can actually put those minerals back in our skin and our face over hot steamy water. Salt, when you put the light on, sometimes they sweat and sometimes they water. Oh my gosh, my rock is leaking water. And that is the most perfect rock. I always tell everybody, I want that rock back. Because 1 out of every 100 rocks might sweat. And that's, it doesn't mean it's bad or good. It just means it's that much better. It's just that much better, right? Because we don't do negatives here. We do anything that's positive, that's what we do. Except our ions, we have to keep our ions negative. Why? Because the negative ion in the density of the salt creates our body to be a higher in pH balance, right? So that's the goal. Our goal is to raise our body in pH, lower the acidity level, because then we all become healthy. Healthy like weight, healthy like bacteria, viruses, fungus. None of them can penetrate. So that's the cool thing about our salt. So why not take a seat and get every amount of healing that your body can actually have for 1 hour in the salt cave. Let's get healthy together.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
So I'm smiling because the very last of that bumper is, so strap in, let's enjoy the ride. I think we should all enjoy life going forward, right? So triggers are part of our life purpose. They are. Because it allows us to clear a pattern of past, or it allows us to have the dominance. But I want to go back to that fear thing. You didn't have fear to join. You didn't have fear to go. You didn't have, and if you're a civilian, you didn't have fear to do anything else. So why is it that we have fear to let go? Isn't that something to ponder? You didn't have fear to do the action, but now we have fear to let go of that action. Yep, life lesson. Yep, life purpose. Yep, all of it. Yep. So twist it. If we did an action and it was on our bucket list from our Father, Mother, God above that we had to learn this lesson, and we learned it, then we may not have the fear of letting it go. We can't. We were put in the place to make this lesson. Old beliefs patterns don't belong within my realm, and they hopefully one day they won't belong in your realm. Hopefully one day. Because the only way to live every day happy is to remove these triggers and understand where they came from, and then smile and say, yeah, man, I understand what I did. I understand how difficult thinking about that is. But every Bible, I don't care, 490 versions of them, the Kabbalah, I can't think of the Jewish one now, off the top of my head. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. There's a whole bunch of religions out there. We are all one. It's not Christianity first and everything else falls below, or it's not Buddhism first and everything falls below. No, we are the I am Christ-like. And if my brothers and sisters are hurting with triggers, and we can help them figure it out, and we can help them figure that where they have to let go, or why they have the fear of letting go. They didn't have the fear to do it. So where's the fear of letting go? Got to think. Where was it? And some of you out there, because I have, like I said, I have my own little group of you guys who were on that front line. I get it. I get it. I get the pain. I get the understanding that you had to succumb to an order and allow what your belief system was to falter. And that's what we discussed in Roots. And here's the trigger going, but, nope, there's no buts. You were put on a purpose, right? Again, we are not some random freaking person who has mental illness and chose nothing to do with this mental illness as a child than to lose triggers. I'm going to blame video games. I am. I'm blaming it. And maybe I should. That's a hard one to let go. Maybe I must rethink it. But my opinion and my belief on this ride is these video games are hurting and destroying the mental concepts of if you're angry, to do it. It's like the parent. There you go. It's an old belief pattern. I love this one. Here you go. Have you ever seen somebody? This is a trigger. This is one of my triggers. I watched somebody, Walmart, the grocery store, whatever. And it's usually the mother who's losing her absolute wits, right? Because you have two children. One's a toddler and the other one's a baby, right? It's always the under sevens that parents lose their wits. And then they have a great time until they're about 13 to 18. I've lived through it. I lived through it. So, but you see this, and it's not even have to be children. It could be anything, because you're conditioned in a family. If you're conditioned in a society or conditioned with federal punishment law, you did bad, so now I'm going to hit you, right? A child's conditioned mind is now when it's saying, oh, anger means hitting, physically punishing. Oh, I see it. Look at the escalade. This started to 20s and the 30s and the 40s, and it was abusive. It got to be so abusive in the 70s and the 80s, very abusive, because it was a pattern that escalated almost back to something that happened 3,000 years ago or so, where they're bludgeoning their babies. You're pissing me off. No, we evolve. We go forward. We don't go backwards. So if there's anybody out there who is a parent and the child gets angry at one of the two, the children, here they are, they slap him because they're making them angry. The parent turns around, hits the kids and says, you don't hit anybody. Hitting is bad. Okay, what for hypocrite shit is that? Think about it. You're going to train a child that when it's angry to hit, and then you're going to punish the child because it hit when it got angry. So who's to blame there? Who's the victim? The child? The parent? When the parent comes back and the parent says, oh, you know, you shouldn't be hitting your kids. Okay, so the parent lost its wits because the children were misbehaving. Who's to blame? Who's the victim? Neither. It's an old ancestral pattern. It's an old belief system that you need to get rid of. There's no victim here again. Get rid of it, right? If you're angry, it's on you. That means you brought into somebody's life a catalyst to teach you a life lesson. You must understand this. You must. Because it's the only way to live in a conscious, positive mind is to remove these. You can have fun and you can do all your other things, but the anger, resentment, egos, and judgment don't need to be there. These are triggers that cause it. That means our heart chakra is not healed. That means one of the 12 petals around our heart chakra needs really in-depth looking at. Find somebody to help you. If you're like, MJ, I can't keep writing. I'm in the red before I even realize I'm in the red. It's taken me just like that before I even know it. I get it. But when you come back out of the red, you know what triggered you. You know it because you can sit in a meditation. You can sit in a meditation. Joe Dispenza is awesome to rewire the mind here. Write it down. Dr. Joe Dispenza. Very good to rewire the mind, his meditations. Right? This one for you. Teaching about ego, another good one, is Aaron Abke. You can find them on social media. They're awesome to rewire our brain to make it so that we understand they were lessons and not to be judged by anybody because we got triggers. These triggers are for our soul to remove, to balance, to love. It's not for our damn ego to place judgment to make us suffer. And that's what it is. I can't stress enough, triggers. We got to let go of egos and judgments because the triggers are holding us back with fear. Fear causes depression, causes sadness, causes anxiety. And we don't even know it's that. And that's the help right there. That's where it's at. Yeah, right there, that little piece. So anxiety is fear-based. Depression is fear-based. Where do we fall in the 7 fears? Get the Bibles out. Where's those 7 fears? Fear of abandonment, fear of love. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we with those fears? We got to think about that. Nope, this is not religion-based. This is conscious, positive thinking based. I talk a lot about religions because people always want to go back to religions. Take theology courses, learn all of them. Learn all of them. Not one is better than another. Zoroastrianism tells us that because Zoroastrianism was the first religion ever in this world. And all the religions bleed off of Zoroastrianism. I really think some people need to understand that the I am Christ light is in all of us, and their actions repeat into me, and my actions repeat into them. And it is like that. Chinese Buddhism, they call it the red string theory, that we are all connected by the red string. I believe that. Why? Because when 9/11 happened, there was an American on this soil who was smiling. They all poured their heart to help. So that means inside of that beautiful heart, all of us, when it's ready and it's needed, all of us will figure it out. But in the meantime, we're going to journal. What was that? What was the smell? And if you already know the triggers and they still happen, then find another counselor or psychologist, or maybe you're on meds that are blocking it. That's my last one. So I know I have to go to break, and but I want to talk about these meds and hitting these triggers and why we're not getting rid of these triggers. Okay, that's when we come back. We're live here on mbrradio.us. See you in a couple minutes.
Introducing LT Defense Tactical Gear, your ultimate solution for top-notch protection and performance in the field. Our armor bundles provide unmatched safety and comfort, while our battle belts and holsters ensure quick and easy access to your gear. Stay prepared for any situation with our high-quality medical supplies, designed to keep you ready for action at all times. Looking to enhance your skills? Our firearms training programs will take your proficiency to the next level. Trust LT Defense for all your tactical gear needs and gear up for success on the battlefield.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hey, welcome back. I'm MJ. We're here with the world of conscious positive thinking. We're talking about triggers and how to let go of some triggers, right? So this is my little, I call it my little bottle of joy right here. So anytime that I find that there's a trigger, I literally unscrew it and put the ball pretty much right up my nose to immediately get rid of whatever trigger. Your sinuses, I can't remember the name, also or something, it doesn't matter. But whatever it is, it's a trigger point, right? And if you get immediately triggered or you know it's happening, get your bottle of joy, smell it. One of the most beautiful senses that will help you immediately detach is rose. Find rose spray, rose water, make your own. I make my own, and I will spray that. I told you I had this holistical store. I still do it in a cave, but the holistical store was better because it was bigger, and these kids would run all over, and you could see the mother just the triggers was like, oh my God, all I wanted to get some Zen, and these kids were just running. And she was trying to control them. And now the kids start bickering. Like I said, hit one, hit the other, blah, blah, blah. So immediately I picked up 2 bottles of rose spray. Just put it in the air. These kids, literally, I'm not kidding. They sat there and they went, calm them complete down. The mother, I'll never forget her. She goes, I don't know what in the world you just did, but whatever bottle of magic and joy that was, I want them all. I go, it was rose spray. Rose. Why rose? Because rose attached to the heart. Our heart can't do anything but love, right? I'm going to say it again. Our heart can't do anything but love. So when you tap the thymus, right, for ego, you're answering by your heart. And then that allows your heart to let go. So these triggers, right? Bottle of love, bottle of joy. Change your mind, snap it out, tap. I'm going to keep telling you all to tap. I know it looks stupid, but I don't give who cares? There's that ego and judgment again. Tap, 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 tap. Make sure you're tapping, because that tapping removes the id, ego, and super ego from our brain. And when that happens, we are in just pure joy, and we can talk from the heart. Sometimes we'll cry. Why? Because it's an unconditional heart love. And who cares about those diamonds? Because they're healed. Once those come out, Process in time. Within a couple months, you'll be like, man, wow, look at that. I might let that go. So the next one, meditations. We talked about meditations, Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations. Get into meditations. Get into healing meditations. Get into thought-provoking meditations. Where is it coming from? We can't succumb it. We can't make it so that we push it so far down and under the rug that we don't have to deal with it. Why? Because that gives us the anxiety. It's worried, when's that skeleton going to come up? Gives us the depression of, I'm still holding on to this. Why? Because I want you to feel bad, and that's your ego. I want you to feel bad, so I'm going to keep holding on to this despair. And I'm going to keep holding on to this anger and this resentment with these triggers and these that have fear. Well, what do I say? I take them and I put them in the smash house. Do you guys have a smash house by you? Put your goggles on, you put your little gloves on, and they give you a big old axe or a hammer, and you just start smashing, right? Some people need that. That's the endorphin release that they need to let go, right? Because it's not finished. Imagine if you were in a battle and you feel that somebody got an upper hand of you. There's your ego right there. Oh, they got the upper hand. And now you keep that grudge inside. You keep it tight, right? Keep it tight and just cannot wait. I can't wait until I see him again. Because, could get it. Now, instead of going to get it, practice balance of love. Listen, bro, I didn't like where we were at, or sis. I didn't like where we left this. I didn't like where it was. We don't have to fight it back. We could just talk about collaboration. No, you can't. I understand. No, you can't. That's not the male way. And, people need to learn a lesson. I've heard it. And it never works out. Never. Never. Because now what? Now it's going to cause him to be the victim, or now back to you to be the victim. And here we go. Wishy-washy, wishy-washy, wishy-washy. We're back to square one where we both have ego against each other because of a trigger that put us in this position. So everything has to come back into form. Everything. We have to come back into, realization of where are these triggers? What is these triggers? How are these triggers moving? Right? So, belief systems, old patterns. If you're in an ancestral line and your family raised you on certain conditions, listen, my father, my father, God rest his soul. I love him. Major disciplinarian. He was not in the military, but he was a major disciplinarian. He was going to make you listen. Growing up, I had beautiful life lessons that taught me very well. I was on the Big Grizz show on Friday for the celebration where Noel was painting the flag and the soldier, and some of the conversations that came up, that was a trigger about finances. And I know Joey, he has I can't remember what the show is called. And I'm sorry, Joey. I'll post it right after as soon as I find it. But he has a show about money. It's amazing how a decade or era teaches people a simple thing, 5 to 10 years difference. And yet it teaches. Oh, thanks. The studio just told me Joey's thing is called Money in the Military. And you can find him on the NBR Talk too as well, or any of the military broadcasting systems. So Money in the Military is Joey's. And he was on talking. And I have to say, I have no regret or remorse the way I grew up. I understand that it was beaten into me, the 60s and 70s. So didn't like being beaten. I didn't like the hits. And I understood the era now, today. Look at 58 years later. I understood it. I understand it, right? I understand that conditioned old belief system. Right? I didn't hit my kids. I think I hit, let me take that back. My oldest daughter got it. My oldest daughter unfortunately, she got a whack from me in her butt because I asked her nicely not to step out in front of the car. So she got it. She got it because she didn't listen. And I got her by the arm and I whacked that pamper like no tomorrow. And it was fear-based. My fear overcame my reality. Right? Fear. So triggers, yep, they're fear. But are they fear of being guilty? Fear of judgment? Where are they from? Where are they from? How are they from? How do we get out? Put some rose up your nose, or put something that makes you a smell, some type of oil, right? So you can calm down and think of it rationally, because triggers make us irrational. So let's find something, a smell to put up your nose, in the air to bring us back down. Tap our thymus as it brings us back down. Breathe it. Where are we at? Squirrel. How's the hockey game? Panthers winning? Stanley Cup? What are we doing? Change the subject. Move away. If you're not ready, but at some point you got to be ready, or you're not ready and saying, "Ooh, that was a trigger. I just spotted a trigger, MJ." Fantastic. Let's figure it out together. Here to raise you, not hurt you. Sometimes we have to go through a little hurt in order for us to be able to, just understand, right? It's understanding. But we all get there, right? We all get there. Sooner or later, we're gonna figure all these triggers out, and we can use any modality that we want. It's free will. No? If a religion works for you, then you do it. But don't use religion against other people to heal yourself. It's not right. Right? Don't do it. Because your God is the God of Hindu and the God of Buddhism and the God of Zoroastrianism and Taoism and everything else. We're all the same God. We are all the same light. And we are all equal. I don't care what you think. We are all equal. And I love every single one of you the same way I would love myself. Yep. Because you gave me my freedom. You're giving every single person here the freedom. And the scars that we have. Look at, you ever notice that? I have a scar just like that. Right down my face. And a yellow tooth. I love it. They're my scars and I love them. It's my badge of honor. And I'll be that gypsy with a golden tooth forever. Yep, I will. So proud. So proud of each and every one of you who are going through this. Yep, they exist. These traumas, these events to cause these triggers, they exist. And they exist beyond just our military people. They are in everyday life. And the more that we become aware and the more that we become conscious of them and amazingly understand that this beautiful thing, this boca, this beautiful voice, this beautiful lips and tongue, to be able to speak words of kindness, understanding, joy, love, order, zeal, faith, imagination, will, strength, power, elimination. They're the 12 mind power portal centers. And when we learn that they're the physical centers that run our electromagnetic frequency balance and align it with our chakra patterns, we have nothing besides healing inside of our body. Maybe I should talk about that electromagnetic frequency on another one. I'm running out of time today. That's a good one. Maybe that should be an upcoming one too. How to heal it without big pharma. Everybody knows how I feel about big pharma. That's another show too. So we're getting off all these other topics because we're finished with triggers. So when we're finished with triggers, now we have to think of what else to talk. But that's going to complete my show today. Thank you to the MBR studio. I think Big Grizz is behind me today, and Joel for trying to figure it out. But you guys, thank you, because you just taught a very critical trigger lesson, how everybody didn't need to get upset. So what? Electronics failed. And that's how we started the show. I could have been very angry, right? Choose not. Choose the positive line today, tomorrow, every day. Wake up feeling good. Tap in that good vibration. Give God your glory. Children, I love you. Mwah. This is MJ signing off. We'll be back next week, Monday, 10 a.m. See you then.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about something close to my heart. Military Broadcast Radio is doing incredible work to support our veterans and bring their voices to the world. They rely on your generous donations and your dedicated volunteer hours to make it happen. I encourage you to consider supporting NBR in any way, form that you can. Use this QR code that's attached to the picture, or you can go to our website at mbradio.us